The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Spine Pain Management First Quarter 2014 Investors Webinar Conference Call. Before we get started with our panelists, let me take a moment to familiarize new attendees to the webinar console. You should be seeing if you're attending online. At any time, you can click on the arrow to the left of the console to hide the console. But first, be sure to click on either telephone if it's your intention to use your telephone, in addition to viewing online, or mic and speakers if it's your desire to use your computer exclusively. The conference call is interactive, giving you the opportunity to post questions. However, to do this, you must type in your questions in the box, "Enter a question for staff." You can use this box at any time during the presentation. But all questions will be held until the formal presentation when the Q&A portion starts. Questions will be put in the queue and answered in the order received, though some repetitive questions may be eliminated. With this said, let me now turn over the call to John Bergeron, Spine Pain Management's Chief Financial Officer, to read the required disclosure statement.
Thank you. This presentation includes forward-looking statements as determined by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC. All statements, other than statements of historical facts, included in this presentation that address activities, events, or developments that the company believes or anticipates will or may occur in the future are forward-looking statements. Such forward-looking statements involve known and unknown risks, uncertainties, and other factors which may cause the actual results, performance, or achievements of the company to be materially different from any future results, performance, or achievements expressed or implied by such forward-looking statements. Such factors include general economic and business conditions, the ability to acquire and develop specific projects, the ability to fund operations, healthcare service demands, changes in healthcare practices, government regulation, and other factors over which the company has little or no control. The company does not intend and is not obligated to update publicly any forward-looking statements. The contents of this presentation shall be considered in conjunction with the warnings and cautionary statements contained in the company's recent filings with the SEC. Turn the page, please. Now I would like to introduce Dr. Bill Donovan, founder of Spine Pain Management.
Good afternoon. This is Dr. Bill Donovan. I want to thank you for taking time to listen to our conference call today. We appear to have quite a few people signed in, so I think we'll try to move along quickly, get to questions and answers. On our mission, I think we need to focus on some special things. That is, we're a specialty finance company that happens to be working in the medical arena dealing with liability spine type injuries. For our affiliated doctors, we've been able to provide them with a quad video halo system in order to improve the transparency of what they're doing, how they're doing the procedure, and what the patient's response is. And I feel that this transparency is really important, providing real-time exactly what the procedures were done and to prove that the procedures were actually done. Because of our initial success with the Quad Video Halo, we've taken it to 3 different meetings, major trade shows, and they have expressed a lot of interest, which now means that we've moved into the phase now of initiating FDA review and the UL testing. And what the UL testing all means, and it's all part, you do the UL testing, you use the risk management files that go with that. We're identifying CE marks and TUV marks for United States, Canada, and Europe. And there's a thing called 60601. In the United States, it's the 2nd edition. In Canada and Europe, 60601, it's the 3rd edition. So we're in this process to get this done in the right way and we expect by the end of the year we should have some type of certification. Next slide. Just quickly showing the quad video, it absolutely proves that our affiliated doctor is actually doing what is supposed to be done, and our patients who've received injections, they have two comments about the halo. Number one, this doctor must really be good or he wouldn't be videotaping the procedure. And number two, this doctor wouldn't be doing anything he shouldn't be doing if he was videotaping. So there's a tremendous comfort level with the patients. These procedures are done with the patient awake, so you have both the audio and the visual components. Next slide. But we feel that the halo is helping our affiliate doctors to be able to market their practice to doctors who treat these liability spine injuries. A quick snapshot, just a couple things I want to point out. The shareholder equity is over $5 million. Our positive working capital ratio is 4.9 to 1. We have an NOL of 6.3 million. And what I'm very pleased with, we have almost 700 beneficial shareholder count. Next slide. I'm going to go over a few things about Q1 2014. It was almost a perfect storm in a bad way. We're obviously in transition. Two major things happened. We shut down the operations in Florida due to the way their laws, the personal injury laws are, and some other issues with our affiliated doctor there. 40% of our funding last year went to Florida. We also shut down McAllen, Texas, to an unusual situation. We felt it's an isolated competition issue, and 30% went last year to McAllen. So 70% of our revenue was taken off the books, which would have gone on in Q1. What this has done now is it's basically we're saying 70% of our funding last year went to Florida and the Valley in Texas. We're going to use that money available, and we'll go into other markets that we've approached and we've initiated. What we're finding, we have an example, a pain doctor group in San Antonio. They've been using the halo for over a year, and they're extremely pleased with the transparency and the reception that they're receiving in the San Antonio area. They have gone out of their way to introduce us to other pain doctors in other states and other cities to now expand into this homegrown type of expansion. And what we want to do is reduplicate what we've done in San Antonio and what we're starting now in the Midland, Odessa area, and there's some other areas that are coming very quickly. Next slide. We've added some more business components. We've been mostly doing injection, identifying the pain generator site, and it's a very good area. However, we were approached in San Antonio because they have a new high-tech type of MRI machine. It's an Italian machine called a SOPI, ESOATE. And it does an MRI with you lying down, and the table tilts, and then you're doing a standing weight-bearing MR. They feel that they're picking up 30% more pathology because of doing it in these two positions. Well, let me tell you, the doctors in San Antonio that treat these kinds of patients have jumped all over that type of technology. They have come to us, the doctors in San Antonio, and say, look, we really want these patients to be getting these type of special MRIs. So they've asked us to get involved with this very specific type of high-tech MRI. So we decided to start getting involved because what we have found, we're identifying more significant types of problems than are missed in the standard MRI when you're lying down. In other words, you don't spend your whole life lying down. You usually don't have back and hip and leg pain lying down. It's when you're standing up. But this Italian MRI machine actually does a double MRI on every patient. So it's really helped the doctors, and it was the doctors who asked us, you need to get involved with this facility because we're getting better reads, better quality, and we're seeing more significant pathology. This then led us to the next step, was there is now, we've been approached once again by these doctors that are seeing these patients. Can you get involved and help us to make sure we can get the surgery performed? And there are certain situations that we're looking at it right now. Next slide. When we talk about the quad video, we've expended significant capital and manpower to get to where we are now. And based on the meetings we've gone to, but really based on the feedback from the doctors who are using it, I feel that the Quad Video Halo will have and has a significant place in what we're doing. And it just takes a matter of time for the treating doctors to identify which affiliated doctors have the Halo and which doctors don't. The price is all the same. So you get, as with that special MRI machine, you're getting better pictures. On the Halo, you're really getting the transparency. This obviously has led us to go the next step, be the FDA, the UL, and all the types of marks, both US, Canada, and Europe. Next slide. I'm going to turn over the numbers now to John Bergeron, CFO.
Thank you, Dr. Donovan. As stated earlier, we've closed our Florida operations along with our South Texas operations, so accordingly we have a much reduced net revenue. That is obviously the cause. I did want to bring out to you our cost of sales percentage is a little bit higher because we pay maybe a tad more for the MRIs through this Italian machine that Dr. Donovan refers to. Very good machine. We expect to have very good returns from it. Now, look, when you look at the SG&A expenses, first of all, I want you to know that $150,000 of that is non-cash. That's payments for warrants and things of that nature. The three big drivers of the SG&A was the marketing and the legal fees. Marketing was basically these programs that we took the Quad Video Halo to. It involved a lot of logistics, a lot of fees to enter, and it required a lot of travel on our part. The second one was we had legal fees. The FDA attorneys that are helping us with the Quad Video Halo, they are located in Washington, D.C., and they would have what I would call Class A rates. The The last thing that I would tell you is that we did have some research and development costs that we had to expense. We expect the SG&A expenses to go down. We do not expect them to be this high again next quarter. If you look down in the other expenses, there's $90,000 of that. What that basically is, $50,000 of that is non-cash, and that's the accretion of the stock options that we granted with the So we had about a 3 cents per share loss, which is unacceptable to us, but we are in a time of transition. Turn the page, please. The second one, the highlights, I wanted to tell you that we did collect $623,000 in settlements last quarter. We still have a current liability ratio of 4.9 to 1. We still have about, on our books, a little over $6 million in receivables that we expect to collect. The stockholders' equity still comes out to be 28 cents a share. Compare that to our current stock price. Turn the page, please. If you will look, and you'll see that we continue to have a good, strong case procedures. If you look at that, we've gone from a cumulative total from 6,378 to 6,549 total procedures. We went from 3,577 cases or patients to 3,732. Turn the page, please. You'll also see that with the $623,000 that we collected, we had 89 settlements this quarter. Overall, since inception, we've had 75 cases that have resulted in no settlement, costing the company $183,000 in cash. Dr. Donovan?
Just a couple of comments. On those 75 cases, that represents 5% of the cases that have been settled. So we feel that this failure rate where we get zero payment has stayed fairly low, which we expect. Number two, when you look at this slide and the previous slide, from the end of 2013 to 2014, we have to remember 70% of our revenue with injections and patients went down. But yet we were still able to add patients, 90-some patients in that Q1 when we lost the 70% of our cases. Next slide. When we talk about future cash collections, in Q1, the average case settled for just about $7,000. Since 2009, the average settlement has been almost $6,600. Now, we still have roughly 2,400 cases open, and those are going to be cases with higher settlements and lower settlements. So what we can state is we've collected $8.8 million with these 1,332 cases that settled, and this all derived from funding from the beginning of about $3 million. This is why we felt the actual business model that we started with was a viable business model. Obviously, we didn't have other people to see what they've done and so forth in the public market. So the roads can get bumpy at times, but we're moving ahead, and I feel we're going to be stronger than in the past. We're approaching things a little different. Our doctors have come to us and said, look, here's what we need. Halo is being accepted by the docs, and that's really important. Next slide. So I think as we look for future shareholder value. We're all shareholders. We need to leverage the HALO technology. We're finding out now it's more important than ever because we're really getting feedback from the docs who are using it every week. And that has led us to the special types of MR procedures and so forth. We feel that we're getting to the right stage about the development of it, and we know there's still 2,400 cases out there that are already in the pipeline. So we're going to move ahead and expand in a stronger and a smarter way. Next slide. As we look for 2014, we want to pursue these new and recurring revenues on existing business. Our affiliated doctors have helped us a lot to identify some of these new businesses. The affiliated doctors, especially in San Antonio, they're bringing us new doctors, and it's strictly because of the HALO technology. I feel that we will get the HALO into the marketplace, and we have to persist in using procedures to streamline this case presentation and communication. And as we've gone to these different trade shows, we've been approached by a lot of people who want jobs with the company in management, funding, sales, and we've looked at quite a few resumes. So I think that I feel very good as we move forward. Next slide. At this point in time, I would like to ask for questions. And we're not going to be in a hurry to get through this. We'll be here as long as it takes to answer your questions.
And the first question comes from Lindsay Lee. Does the expected settlement discount resulting in net revenues of $344,688 have anything to do with the 75 cases that haven't settled? Has anything to do with the 75 cases that haven't settled?
No. Once we've determined that we are not going to collect any of that receivable, that accounts receivable is written off. I guess that answers the question.
Mm-hmm.
I think what the questioner needs to know, in 4 years we've written off 75 cases out of almost 1,400 cases settled, and that's about 5%.
And the next question. If HALO is such an advantage, why didn't we prevail over the competition in McAllen?
The HALO had nothing to do with the competition in McAllen. It was not an issue down there. Our competition is on a different basis. You know, everything's a relationship basis. And there's still some people down there that were interested in HALO, but it became not worthy of the business to get down and do that. So we want to move our technology to other cities, which we're actually doing right now.
If HALO is so great, how come no one is signing up to use it? I assume they mean why haven't there been new centers signed up until just, again, recently?
we're in the process of, we're probably discussing right now with 4 to 5 different groups right now. And when Florida went down and McAllen went down, we had to really pull in tight and weather that storm. When you lose 70% of revenues like that, and I think that we're going to find that the development is going to be led by the HALO. The HALO now is really being accepted by a lot of the providers, the docs. And I think by the end of July, there'll be more acceptance of the HALO. What we've done, we took the HALO to a radiology show, an orthopedic show, a hospital show. It's going to a spine surgeons show with pain treatment doctors, and it's going to the National Plaintiff Injuries show in Baltimore. I think by the end of July, there's going to be a lot more acceptance of the HALO. Transparency is not going away.
Next question. Your stock is acting as if the company is at risk of going out of business. Can you comment on this?
We're not going out of business. We got $450,000, I think something like that, in cash in the bank. We continue to collect, and we're not going out of business.
Next question. What should we expect each center to do in net revenues? There are 2 centers right now doing $350K, so each center bills about $175K per quarter. I guess that's a statement question.
Well,
Graf?
this is going to be somewhat of a convoluted answer because, as we mentioned, we're transitioning from doing mostly injections to doing surgeries, and you have to vet these surgeries very carefully. So it's hard for me to say with any precision exactly what that number is going to be. We have approved 1 surgery this quarter, and we expect to generate more than $100,000 in revenue from that 1 injection. We've got a couple of other ones that we are examining and vetting, but I can't say with certainty that we're going to get those surgeries. So at this time, I'm a little hesitant to say how much per location that we're going to be able to generate.
Next question. Can you explain just what happened in Florida and why we may not be at the same risk in a new state or new location?
Well, there's always risk in anything you do. Number 2, the PI laws down there have changed so much over the last couple of years. God, it seems like every 6 months. So it was really unsettled, and we've talked about that about 1 million times. Thirdly, our affiliated doctor group went into Chapter 11 bankruptcy. So we felt that with all of these issues, that occurred in December. With all these issues, that we will just continue to collect. Our AR has nothing to do with that Chapter 11 filing. It's completely outside of it. We're not part of that thing. However, we've had to hire attorneys to monitor stuff, once again, expenses. But it's an unusual situation, and we're continuing to collect on our AR because we can do that without dealing with the affiliated doctor group. Now, could that happen in the future? Yeah, I guess so. But it was really a weird combination down there. The issue about the changing laws there, gosh, we've been talking about that for a year. And they seem to get it corrected, then they don't, then they do, then they don't. So we decided we need to rechannel and focus our cash on better areas, and that's exactly what we're doing. We're expanding in San Antonio. We're going to expand some other areas, and it's because of the HALO.
Next question. Did the Florida group go into bankruptcy by doing spine pain management business exclusively, or were they doing other things as well? It's from Jenks.
No, they were doing business with other people. The thing that you have to remember is that our business is a separate assignment of benefits signed by the patient. So they may have been the subcontractors for us, but they were not spine pain management. They did a bunch of different physicians and different services. As an example, they would do things with shoulders, and we're spine. So no, the question is no, they were not entirely spine pain management doctors.
Okay. And let's see. What do we got here? How many new centers do you expect to sign in Q2 and for the full year of 2014? That's from Graph.
I don't know. This is Bill. I don't know yet. We have a letter of intent. We'll have that completed paperwork very soon. I can't say how quickly we'll get these other discussions resolved. We have another center that wants to open. We've been there, they've been here, but we're still evaluating the economics of it. Will we have additional centers by July, the end of this year? Yes, I feel we will, but I don't want to start giving numbers and it doesn't make sense and they don't happen. We know where we want to go, and we're targeting some states that we think are very good.
Next question. As bad as it looked, the fact you only lost 3 cents a share, or actually I think it should be less than 3 cents a share, seems to be okay, but losing that much business at one time will probably take quite some time to make up. Do you think you could be profitable by the end of this year?
I think we'll make up the time, and let's go back for 4 years. As a startup with no money, our total losses to date is probably around 20 cents, and that's over 4 years. We're going through a transition period, and I feel that we're going to see much better financials by the end of the second, third, and fourth quarter. Are we going to be profitable for those quarters? I don't know, but this Q1 was a perfect storm. It was not good, and we don't want it to happen again, that's for sure.
How big is the potential for the HALO? How big is I think that's what he's trying to say here. How big is the potential for the HALO in the eyes of the company?
That's a terrific question. When we were at the various meetings that I mentioned about, at all of these meetings, there were a lot of foreign doctors and foreign hospitals. They are particularly interested in the HALO for the teaching aspects. In fact, I would say 90% of the people we met from outside the country were interested in education and training, a teaching type program. We've made some really good contacts, but I think that in time, Halo could be very, very big, both domestic and international. How we try to assign a market, we met with all the C-arm manufacturers, new C-arms, redo C-arms. They're very interested in it, and when you go to these meetings, especially the orthopedic meeting, everything is about transparency. That's never been before. Videos in the OR. 2 years ago, nobody ever thought it would happen. It's happening right now. So I can't give a number, but do I think it can be significant? Yes. Yes, I do. I think it can.
Okay, next question from Carl Scheer. I have offered you several times to open up markets in Europe and Colorado for you, and I must say I'm disappointed I have not received an answer on these issues. Moreover, I've offered to introduce you to Siemens Meditech 2 years ago. Why is this not interesting enough to produce a response?
Well, we've talked to Siemens, we've talked to GE, we've talked to Philips, we've talked to all the major companies. They came to us. We've talked to Stryker. All of these companies have come and seen what we have. And we need to proceed with the FDA and UL, and will these companies be involved in some way? Yes. The transparency is the issue. Were we ready a year ago to go to all these people? No. Were we ready to go a year ago into other states? Well, we've been talking with other states, but I think I would like that person to contact me again, and we'll talk about Colorado, because I think we're going to be fairly close to Colorado.
From Lindsay, are we selling the Halo today if someone really wanted to buy one? If not, when we'll be able to sell them, and what needs to happen first? That's from Lindsay Leeds.
The first answer is no. We're not selling any right now. We're using them for research internally at our own facilities. Once we finish FDA, UL, and everything, then we'll proceed to start selling. We have people that want to join us to do that. So before you sell these products, you're going to want to get the FDA and the UL certifications.
That seems to be the questions we've had asked for the moment. If you have any more questions, you got about a minute to get something typed in here, or we'll wrap this up.
While we're waiting, John and I both want to thank you to everyone for being on the call. And we've gone through a significant transition, and we're going to come out stronger and leaner with a better product makeup as we move forward.
Got about 30 more seconds. And give it a few more moments to see if anybody, remember, you just need to type something in. I don't see anything starting to type yet, so we're about to wrap this up. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for attending the call, and be sure to contact the company if you have any further questions. Dr. Donovan has always been receptive if he's not in surgery or doing something such. And see you again in 3 months with hopefully a much better story. Thank you.
Thank you very much.